So good day, guys. Thanks everybody for watching all of the previous episodes. If you've been enjoying what we've been doing, it would mean a lot to me if you could like and subscribe. Feels a bit weird to be saying this, but it really does help. Also, if you could comment, whether it's on the comments on Facebook, on Instagram, or whether it's just in the comments on the YouTube, it would be awesome to know what you guys are thinking and some suggestions for upcoming guests. I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff and I would like to keep doing it. And that little bit of feedback would really help. Tonight's episode is number 5 with Jake Garcia. He is one of my best friends, amazing dude, somebody that has pursued his passion through his entire life. I feel like these kinds of stories are super important in the world that we live in. The fact that you can go out there and chase what you want to do and be successful with it. The fact that you can come across obstacles and find ways around them really means a lot. So stick around, enjoy the episode, and thanks very much for watching. Here we go. Welcome, Mr. Jake Garcia, musician, psychedelic artist, and tattooist extraordinaire. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me.
It's good, man. It's always been on my to-do list right from the start. You were one of the ones that's fairly high up there. It's a bit of a weird thing though, because we're like such good friends. I feel like where to start becomes like the bigger problem in how to have a conversation that everybody can kind of get involved in,
Yeah.
So what I was thinking though is probably just letting people know like a bit of your story, like in a bit of the history of your music background and stuff, because I feel like that kind of leads into the broader story of transitioning then into self-growth and dedicating yourself in general. Like this is kind of what I want to talk about with you, is like dedicating yourself to like a meaningful life. I feel like that's kind of been your thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whether it's the music that you pursued for years and years and like got quite kind of to the top of your game with that, and then transitioning now into the kind of artwork and stuff that you've done. But I feel like overall there's been this underlying thing, which is like the pursuit of like a meaningful life and something that makes you happy, that you're not doing for other people. You're not just doing it for the paycheck, but you're doing it for something more than that. So maybe let's start off with like the music stuff, man. You can go back as early as you want. Like we can start off with like 14-year-old Jake learning how to do mad screams and stuff.
Yeah. Well, maybe I was 15 or 16 and stumbled across, like heavy music with, some pretty intense sounds people were making with their voices.
Yeah.
And I wondered if I could do that. Like where I grew up, we had heaps of land and I could be as loud as I want. So expressing myself vocally was an easy thing to do. And there was no neighbors getting up me for being as loud as I want.
Yeah.
So when I heard people making really loud sounds with their voices in this really intense music that just filled me with energy, I was like, oh, maybe I could give that a go. And then, started going to gigs like locally in Townsville, and just really wanted to be a part of it. And like first kind of like, community is like an adolescent, where I felt like I, belonged, and everyone was like all these.
Almost like a coming of age thing, right?
Yeah, almost.
That was kind of what music was for me, man. So like we I think like I had my first band probably around like the same age and that kind of stuff, and like going to like battle of the bands and like feeling like a community like was such a big thing for me.
And for people to just a space where people can like freely express themselves. Like, and I guess Townsville is like can be a pretty judgmental place, but then all these people can come together and wear eye makeup, like dudes can wear eye makeup and skinny jeans, and everyone just accepted them for
the filthy
who they
weirdos
want to
that they
be.
were.
Just free to express themselves, and it was cool to be a part of. And we played my first ever gig was Rock Awards in grade 12.
Yes, right.
The band like Hello Kitty Massacre.
That's awesome. Hello Kitty Massacre.
No, we won best band name. Like,
oh, nice. Best band name. Hey, look.
Yeah.
You don't get best band, but you get best band name. So that's
Well, we got pretty highly commended, like especially because we were only one of a few bands who were playing like heavier music.
Yeah.
I got a really good response from people, and then I saw there was a local band looking for a vocalist, and I thought I'd try out and see if I had what it takes. And they were probably one of the best metal bands in Townsville, in my opinion, at the time, like Courting Pandora.
Yeah.
And then we all just had this drive and wanted to be bigger and better, and Brisbane was an option to move down here.
Yeah, I mean, and then, like for me as well, like getting away from like Townsville and that, again, that like coming of age thing, you know, like being your own person and like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna make this move. Like, you know, you kind of like it's a big move for how old were you when you moved to Brizzy?
Oh, I just turned 19.
Yeah.
And also like there was a bigger community down here. Like Townsville's community was very small for that kind of stuff, but then here like international bands are playing, and some of my favorite bands were coming to Brisbane, so I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, bigger scene, like more opportunity.
And much more culture and accepting people. Like you came down here and then like people wore skinny jeans also, not at gigs as well.
Out to the cafe. Sipping their lattes.
And no one was giving them shit for it.
Yeah, no one was trying to fight them. So I suppose like for like people listening, you know, Townsville, growing up there, and I don't, you know, obviously like the experience is different for everybody, but there's definitely a very North Queensland has a very blokey culture, right? And you know, you're wearing the wrong thing, look at somebody the wrong way. I mean, I've literally got called out for just talking to people before, like going to like have a conversation with people, and they're like, "Oh, what are you, fucking gay cunt?" Like, fuck, no, man, no, like, I just was gonna have a conversation with you. Like, I'm sorry, don't fight me, please. You know. So
anything out of the cultural norm there, and you'll be criticized for it.
Yeah, that's right. So big shift coming down to Brisbane.
Yeah, and then like that band, we played a few gigs and stuff, but then I just really had the desire to do more, and I found a band down here that was looking for a vocalist. That was when I first heard them, I thought it was just absolutely insane that humans could make that kind of music. It's the same deal. Like,
and so what band was that?
That was the Schoenberg Automaton. So I have to say it pretty slow for people because
maybe even spell it just in case anybody like actually wants to go and have a look at their stuff.
So the Schoenberg, SCHOENBERG Automaton, AUTOMATON.
Yeah, cool. And I'll definitely put that in the like links in the description and stuff. But definitely really, really hectic music. It sounds like computers are playing it, but they're not. They're real people. Like that's the insane part. So
and disclaimer, like if you don't enjoy extreme, heavy, fast, screaming music, then
then
which is like a lot of people don't. It's probably not good. Nervous system.
Yeah.
But it's great for me. It's like calming and soothing.
You know what's crazy? And I've tried to explain this before to people, is that there's something about metal. Because a lot of people, when they talk about metal, they're like, oh, screamo, like, it's angry and this kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know, it never made me feel that way. It made me feel like inspired and like excited. Like it was never like there was never hate in it. Like people
Yeah.
expect it's like, oh, is it about devil worship or something? You're like, no, like it's about like fuck yeah. Like it's positive.
Yeah. Well, I think just in general, people associate yelling with anger,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
expressing yourself loudly isn't always anger. Like you can be screaming in joy.
Yeah. Oh, and it's just a release, right? Like it's a release.
Yeah.
It's a cathartic thing. And what could be more cathartic than like absolutely letting your body fly wildly and headbanging, you know, like with a massive group of other people. Like it's such an amazing like almost spiritual experience to be at a gig where it's one of your favorite bands and everybody's just fucking losing their shit. Yeah, pretty amazing
Yeah. It's
stuff.
pretty special.
And
Yeah.
to be the front man, to be the singer of that must be even more like I can't imagine like if somebody in the crowd like me is feeling that rush of fucking endorphins, you know, from seeing a band like that play, being the fucking front man, being like the you know singer of a band like that must be even more intense.
Yeah. Well, feeding off the crowd's energy, and like what I was doing was quite a physical, like intense, like heavy breathing exercise. So just the breath work in itself was pretty elevating.
So that's interesting, right? So there's like something to that I think that most people wouldn't really understand about um like heavy metal singing. They think it's like just like screaming or whatever, like that it's just yelling. But like
Yeah.
there's a lot of technique to it, right?
Yeah. 100%. Like most people who attempt doing it either end up in a like fit of coughing, or yeah, or their voice just
Yeah,
breaks.
that's this guy
Like
right here. Yeah,
yeah,
it's not the
it's a
easiest thing
fine
to do.
art.
It is definitely a fucking fine art. Yeah.
Even the first like 2 or 3 years of trying to do it, like there was a lot of vocal strain, and yeah, like there was no technique. Like no one taught me how to do it. It was just monkey here, monkey repeat.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I suppose back in those days as well, it wouldn't have even been like, you know, I'm sure now there's like YouTube tutorials and that kind of stuff, but you were literally just like listening to your favorite bands and then going and trying to emulate that.
Yeah, just mimicking stuff. I think at the time there was one thing that I'd heard of, but then I think it was something you had to pay for, and I
Yeah,
couldn't be bothered paying for it. So I
yeah,
was
yeah.
just practicing the car whenever I got the chance.
Yeah, sweet. So back to Schoenberg then. So you just saw an ad, or how did that come about?
Well, I followed the band, and then they, yeah, posted that they were looking for a new vocalist. Their original vocalist Cole did some damage to his voice. Um, yeah, going on tour whilst I think he had like some kind of chesty kind of sickness thing. So he was performing and putting stress under his vocal cords while he was also sick.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then caused like enough damage that he could still do it, but he couldn't sustain it, especially playing like a 30 or 40-minute set. So he just couldn't keep up with the band. And
Yep.
so then I was given the opportunity.
Awesome. And so from there, like, so that was like a touring band basically at that point.
Well, they were starting off, and I think like they played a handful of shows around the place, but then when I jumped on board, and then we were just given a lot of opportunities, mainly through like Lachlan Watt, who is the host of Triple J's The Racket.
Yep.
So he really saw potential in us, and he helped us. Like we got to open 2013 Soundwave, which was like a Triple J thing. And
Man, I was so yeah. So I mean, I was in the crowd for when you guys played there. I like that was fucking sick. Like I just couldn't believe that one of my friends was playing. So I'd like, you know, I'd been to Soundwave like a bunch of years in a row. I'm like, what the fuck?
yeah,
This is like total insanity that one of my like good friends is up on the stage at this festival that's like the best of the best in the world, you know, and
Yeah.
here you are opening like one of the main stages, like fucking really crazy experience for me. So how was that for you? Like, fuck man, that must have been pretty hectic.
Oh, it was like top tier, like life affirming experience, like playing on the same stage that then later that evening like would be like Slayer and Metallica and the biggest metal bands on earth.
Yeah, yeah,
And just seeing like just being like behind the scenes of that and seeing like the setup, and yeah, it was really special.
yeah.
And after that, a good segue is like after playing that gig, I think the following day, because I think that evening there was also some acid involved. Um,
Ooh,
the next day, I did my first ever like dot drawing.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we have talked about that before, but what was it that, because you like, again, for the audience, like we've known each other for a long time, and I know like, you know, you used to fucking do lots of coloring when you were a kid, but like, were you into art through high school and stuff like that, or?
No, like I didn't really even do art in high school.
Yeah,
I did
right.
it in grade 8, and then I was like, oh, I don't. There's probably no job opportunities for learning this, so I was a bit more practical with the subjects I chose.
Yeah,
Um, and then even like moving to Brisbane, and it was basically the initial drawing started from just hating working in call centers so much and passing the time in between calls by just copying, yeah, bringing up tattoo designs on the internet and just mimicking them.
yeah,
Same as the music, I guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
And
But then
so,
around that time of like Soundwave, us playing Soundwave, I discovered like a tattooist called Anna Day.
yeah,
And yeah, just seeing the style of tattoos, like using dots to form patterns and mandalas. And I was just so amazed by it. And maybe like the acid after Soundwave may have helped
I'm
my
sure it
appreciation for that.
did. Yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah, I wanted to
there's
like
definitely
mimic
something
like
about
that.
that dot work style, and like, I don't know specifically like Anna Day's work, but like, there's definitely something about that like dot work style anyway that you do now, that is kind of like very, very psychedelic.
Yeah, well, I think it's like the first time that, yeah, like humans started marking skin with, I guess, more like, yeah, I guess with the like with technology and like being able to create like digital designs. Because I guess humans have been tattooing patterns on themselves for
Sure, fucking
thousands of
ever.
years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but then the advent of, yeah, technology and being able to, yeah, create insane designs and then get your hand quality up to the, yeah, to be able to like
Do
put that
that.
on the skin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. So then going from Soundwave, uh, like moving from that point on, you guys ended up in Canada.
Yeah, well, I think both the guitarists just had a pretty wild idea to just, I guess, to have an ability to like tour internationally. Living in Australia is not a very financially viable option, especially if
Yeah,
you're wanting to tour through North America and Europe. Like just flying there alone is like, yeah, a lot of money and time. So we thought, well, maybe if we base ourselves in Canada, which is easy enough to get a working visa,
yeah,
and then see if we can get more opportunities over there.
yeah. And so like that, like, again, that's like it kind of like comes back to that same thing of like, whether it was from, you know, kind of like screaming on your own in your backyard to then like going to like the Battle of the Bands in Townsville, or from that to deciding to move to Brisbane, and then making
Yeah.
this next step, then that like, hey, no, I'm going to chase after my you know, like my ambition and my drive here, and like going to try and follow like what seems like the right thing to do or whatever. Like, follow that drive
Yeah.
and move to Canada.
Yeah. And just finding people who also have that drive, because I think that just adds to the passion when you find people who like the same thing that you do.
Yeah.
Just makes you want to do it even more.
Yeah, like definitely having that good group of people around you definitely does make a huge difference. And particularly obviously like being in a band, like you kind of have to have, which is like so rare, right? And that's like the reason why most bands don't succeed, is because it's like different people have different shit going on in their lives and whatever. So like as a collective to make any kind of decision, it becomes pretty difficult.
Yeah, well, deciding on like what songs to play, let alone everybody relocating their lives to another country, it was a pretty, amazing anomaly that we all managed to decide on that and take like uproot our lives. Half of us had girlfriends and we're like brought them with us, and
That's awesome.
yeah, lived in Vancouver for 2 years and played, like, we didn't get to play any shows in like the United States based on like artist visas, and it's a pretty hard thing market to get into.
Yeah.
But playing, played shows in Canada and did a small Canadian tour into Alberta, and then just had a holiday in the Rocky Mountains on the way back. Like, yeah, and then just like a 10-day tour in the UK, and played like the UK Tech Fest, which is probably one of the biggest like technical metal festivals in the world.
That's fucking nuts. So like you're fucking touring the UK then?
Yeah. So
was that just the UK, or was that like Europe as well, or?
No, Europe, just Scotland and England. And it was literally fly into Glasgow, play like 10 days in a row, and then fly back.
That's fucking that's fucking crazy. So I mean, like realistically, for like the type of music that you're playing, like that's pretty right up there for like your genre and everything. Particularly like maybe people don't understand, like, but like metal has a bunch of different genres, and the specific thing that you guys play is like that super techie kind of thing. Like, can you like say anything about that? Like, it's a kind of maybe a hard thing to describe for most people.
Yeah, well, I guess with any genre of music, there's then like subgenres.
Yeah.
So I guess with metal music, you then have like death metal, which is faster, and then they just made technical death metal, and it's like even faster.
Faster and more like off rhythm and off beat kind of stuff, and like it's
yeah. Well, then it was like abstract. Yeah, it was like abstract technical death metal, because
abstract technical death metal. Yeah,
because you can play like in time, or you can like the band played a lot of very abstract time signatures, like things that weren't conventional.
Yeah, they like don't exist in other music, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So playing the super abstract, screaming at people in the middle of the UK, playing this abstract music. And some gigs we played in small towns, we played to maybe 15 or 20 people.
Yeah.
But like of those, there was a handful of people that like downloaded our EP off of Blogspot in like 2010, and they were just so stoked to be there. And that just it wasn't about playing to huge crowds. It was just finding those people.
Yeah. And getting that, because like there are people that love the same thing as you. So that experience of like meeting other like-minded people must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, and then like and then they're like, "Oh, come back and stay at my place and smoke some weed and drink some booze," and they're just so stoked that like these crazy Australian people are in their house smoking their weed.
And you're probably pretty stoked that you're in their house smoking weed too.
Yeah, it was a win-win for everyone, and everyone was just vibing off how much we enjoyed that music, which is what brought us together in the first place.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's fucking sweet. So one of the things I wanted to get, and the reason why I kind of wanted to go through this first is like to kind of get to Canada and an experience that we've talked about before. And I think was maybe like one of your, so there's probably two, I think, in Canada, but like one of your first kind of like psychedelic, like true psychedelic experiences, um, with uh the cacti,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bun,
just stumbling
the button.
across peyote, which was something I was always so curious about. And thanks to you, because I remember you having a book like in your car about the Huichol people of northern Mexico who consume it ceremonially for their healing and divination. And I've tried acid and maybe a couple of light doses of mushrooms, but then um, I've always heard about the cactus, but never come across it. And in Vancouver, like the culture over there is pretty accepting of yeah a lot more of these things. And yeah, I stumbled across a shop, like a shop in a shop, like cannabis culture for their appreciation of good marijuana. And then at the back of that shop was the urban shaman that sold many sacred plant medicines from people's all
And so,
across the planet.
another thing that might be interesting for people as well is like just Canada in general and like the kind of psychedelic culture and the like the pot culture and stuff over there. It's like
Yeah, well,
in Australia, we think of like pot as this like underground, oh, you never know what you're going to get and everything like that. Whereas like most of the rest of the world by now is in a very different place to where we are with this kind of stuff. So
yeah, well, I can't speak for like the eastern side of Canada, but I guess for the west coast and Vancouver, and I'm sure a lot of people who ended up in British Columbia, who were the wild west, and people go live in the middle of nowhere and start growing really good quality weed under really good conditions for growing it,
yeah.
and then also just integrating it into their culture, so it's more socially acceptable and people don't abuse it as much. And it's been going through generations, so it's much more of an accepted thing. And now it's like, well, it's legal there anyway. But when I was there, it was just medicinal, but there was still hundreds of dispensaries, all
so
technically
did you get
illegal.
your medicinal license then?
Yeah, just it was so easy. That was just such a easy way to become a medicinal patient.
Yeah. And so what was your ailment that
Oh,
you
I was having trouble sleeping.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And it's like,
this is something that all Aussies just dream of. It's like, when is this country gonna get over its fucking weirdness with pot? Like it's really not that big of a deal. Like I would much rather that my sons, you know, don't drink when when they're fucking get like going to college or whatever, and instead smoke a couple of doobs. Like they're gonna get in a lot less trouble. Like that's for damn sure. But the way the laws are at the moment, unfortunately, it's actually much more dangerous for them to do something that's much more healthy for them, which is just fucking mind blowing, particularly when you look at somewhere like Canada.
yeah, and like alcohol abuse seems like a lot less over there. Like
Yeah.
when you're too stoned, like you don't have the energy to be get drunk either.
That's right. That's right. So back to the shop. So the urban shaman, you're standing in the urban shaman and you see this fucking peyote button.
Yeah, they're selling like live peyote, which I don't know, like in Canada, in Vancouver, it's so damn wet. I don't know how that's going to work, but
Yeah, they must have like some
uh,
kind of fucking they must be doing it like indoor peyote growing. Like under
oh,
a
it'd have
night
to
or
be,
something.
especially like during the winter time. It's just wet and cold all the time.
Yeah, that's hectic. That seems like a lot of trouble to go to grow like because like I don't know, for people that like don't know, but like peyote is like a very fragile plant. Even growing it outdoors in Brisbane is very difficult to do just because of the humidity. So you get scale and all these kinds of rust and this kind of stuff. You actually have to be like somebody that really cares about your plants, even in the climate that we have, let alone Canada. So
yeah, it's just grows in the middle of the desert. It just hates
yeah,
humidity. Like,
yeah,
and we have a very like humid and or lately like really wet, uh, yeah,
yeah,
wet climate, and coyote doesn't like that.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, and but they also just had heaps of just dry peyote for sale behind the
yeah,
counter, and I thought, well, that seems like a pretty good opportunity to try some peyote. Now at that time, I didn't really understand too much about like the ceremonial side of things, so it was just taken like responsibly, like in a safe space in a good mind frame, but no, yeah, like ceremonial guidance from anyone else.
yeah.
And
Yeah, you were
yeah, it turned out to
just
be,
out there giving it a go.
yeah, why not? Why
Yeah,
not? Just exploring consciousness, and yeah, it turned out to be quite a profound experience for sure. Uh, and yeah, it changed my view on a lot of things. And um, as much as it was like a powerfully beautiful, blissful experience, it was also at times very like terrifying.
yeah,
And then it kind of made me uh, understand maybe some tools that could help me through times of difficulty.
yeah,
And one of those was meditation.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you? So after that experience, what were like some of the big takeaways for you from?
Oh well, it just completely shattered my sense of self and my ego. Um, yeah, to the point that I was just not me anymore. I was just a fragment of the collective universe. So I could almost felt like I died.
Yeah,
And, yeah, saw lots of really bright lights and colors, and and then coming back into myself and reassembling. Um, yeah, I just felt like I just received so much information in that time. And
yeah. It's a
I
pretty
think
hectic.
one thing it like broke me open, and being like an introverted person, it helped me like understand like how to connect, I guess, a bit deeper with other people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Having that kind of experience of like whatever, whether you call it ego death or whatever, ego dissolution, is like a pretty like profound thing to experience. And like going to a place um where like the you of your perception is gone, and you're just
yeah,
the experiencing self.
yeah,
There's none of the like whatever, like chatter and the like historical stuff that makes you that is there anymore. It definitely makes you question, like, well then who, like, what actually am I, when you're putting yourself back together after an
yeah,
experience like that. It's like, oh well, I just experienced this, like, whatever it is to be like the universe, or like to 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 not be myself. Well then what the fuck am I?
yeah. Well, we have
Yeah,
this ability to be like self-aware, and if you strip away the self, you're just awareness. Like there's
yeah,
no back and forward, like making sense of what's happening. It's just what's happening.
yeah, yeah,
And I think, especially in our society and just how overstimulated our brains are, um, there's like, hyper self awareness.
yeah,
And you could almost call that, anxiety in some contexts, where it's just, in just so much thought, so much thought. And it's just like taking you away from what's actually happening here.
Yeah, taking you away from the experiencing self. Like
Yeah,
there is almost, and you know, particularly over the last, whatever it's been, like 5 years or so, since like um whether it's social media, like your phones and all that kind of stuff has become so much more integrated into life. I mean, you can basically live entirely through, you know, like whatever, like the things that are the things that it's like the movie of Cameron that's just happening. All these things are just happening to you, you know, and
yeah,
there's no self in there anymore. There's just the outside stimulus and
yeah,
what's, oh, it's this next thing, and it's this next thing, and it's this next thing, and then like actually being able to take a step back and like strip that away, like actually there's something in there that's much deeper than that. Yeah, it's a
yeah,
pretty profound thing for sure.
yeah. And I think psychedelics, yeah, helps strip that away. Because with mushrooms, it reduces activity in the area that is considered your ego or yourself, and activity reduces in that space, which they also find the same for experienced meditators.
Yeah, and so was that experience something that you started to meditate afterwards, or that you started to just think about meditating, or
Yeah, well, I think it was something that I started that was intermittent. It would be, I don't know, if I was feeling, if like feeling intense emotions, like feeling a bit agitated by something or a bit stressed out. I was like, oh, well, let's see if slowing myself down and just paying attention to my breathing, if that's going to help. So
yeah.
that was the start of the interest anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And so moving from Canada, then you guys got a like record deal at some point as well while you were there?
Yeah. Well, we signed an agreement with E1, which is a distributor of music and film in North America. They didn't really have much to offer us. They lent us some money that would basically that's what helped us get to the UK.
Yeah.
And then just helped with I guess having our music accessible through YouTube and Spotify and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
A good experience anyway.
Yeah.
So eventually though you ended up coming back to Australia.
Yeah. So our visas ended after 2 years, and the decision was made to come back to Australia, which was actually 5 years ago yesterday, I think.
Oh, here we go. We're actually having an anniversary of Jake coming back to Australia, guys. That's what we're doing. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So 5 years since I left the band as well, because in making that decision to come back to Australia, I also made the decision that I wanted to pursue a career in tattooing.
And so were you drawing at that while you were over there, or like how does that become something that you like are like, oh no, I'm going to be a tattooist now?
Yeah. Well, I think I pondered on it for quite a while. Like I said, I started the dot drawings, 2013
Oh, so you
Soundwave.
kept that going like from that point on, did you?
That was a consistent practice, for that, well, basically till now, like
Oh,
the
old
last nine
old
nine years.
consistency Jake. That's what we call him, consistency Jake. That's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
that's a one of the ingredients for success right
Yeah,
there.
for sure, for sure.
Um, I just really enjoyed it, and it was like during the band time, and obviously just working full-time jobs, like that was an awesome outlet, just something I really enjoyed doing. And I would do some commission stuff for like other bands, like designing shirts and Um, yeah, and then because I was like really, I guess, drawing a style that I thought would translate well to tattooing, and seeing like, yeah, what Anna Day could do with that stuff, and then eventually finding many more artists as well, doing that kind of style, and I felt like there was a market for it, and I thought that would be a good, yeah, opportunity to turn it into a job.
Seems like to me, right? There's like this through line with this whole thing, which is like you pursuing something that is like meaningful to you in this way that I feel like is quite rare for a lot of people. Is this something like that you actually like are cognizant of, that you think about? Like,
Yeah, well,
were you
I
like,
guess,
oh, I want to be a tattoo? Like that seems like, you know, for somebody that, like, how old were you at that time?
oh, I probably thought about it, yeah, maybe when I was, yeah, 24, 25, maybe.
Yeah. So like, you know, for a lot of 24, 25-year olds, whatever, like they're like, oh, like, no, I need to like, oh, I need to pay my rent. Like that's the thing that I need to do. And they're not thinking like this longer term picture of, oh, well, like, what is it that I actually want to do? Like, what is it that's meaningful for me? You know?
Yeah, well, people definitely get caught in the money thing, and the pursuit of money, and then I guess the desire of things that they want. Like as soon as people decide they want to buy a house or they want to have a child, then those things cost a lot of money. And
Yeah. I
then
mean,
it's
or
like,
even
well, I
just
need to work a job.
a new car or a new couch to go in their house. And then it's like, oh, well, now I need to work even harder. I actually heard a really interesting conversation today about this exact thing. They're talking about highways, right? I feel like this is a cool analogy. They're talking about highways. This is guys like a what is it? It's like, you know, not civil engineer, but infrastructure engineering. So not just like civil as in terms of like, oh, we're going to build a road. It's like, you know, how do we do like city planning for like infrastructure for a city? And one of the things that he was talking about is like reducing traffic. And he's like,
Yeah.
we're looking at this entirely wrong, because the typical thing of like, how do you reduce traffic? Well, you put in another lane. And they're like, yeah. He's like, okay, but that actually, like, if you look at all of the data, that doesn't reduce traffic, because what happens if you put in another lane is that then people build up more housing areas like along that route, which
Yeah.
brings more people onto the highway, and they put more shops in on that route, which puts more people onto the highway. So in a year or so, you just had the exact same amount of people clogging up the highway.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's like this, you know, like a good analogy for like getting caught on that treadmill of, you know, you get a job and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I've got this job now. Well, I'll reward myself with a car. Oh, but now I need
Yeah.
to be paid more so that I can pay off my car, and also I need this other new stuff kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely a
Yeah.
slippery slope. And to realize that you can not be caught in that, I feel like is a big thing. And maybe even, you know, whether it's like the meditation or the psychedelic experiences or whatever it is, but like I feel like you have had like that foresight to not get caught up in that.
Yeah. Like, yeah, just, I guess moving overseas was a big lesson of non-attachment to possessions, because we went there with two two suitcases, and we
Yeah,
had to come back with two suitcases. So, um,
that's not
and then I think from all the drawing and finding so much fulfillment in spending 10 hours using one piece of paper and a pen, because you realize you don't really need much to be, yeah, fulfilled.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And like a pen that cost me $5 and a piece of paper that cost me 20 cents, probably spent more time doing that than if I bought a $100,000 car and drove that around.
Oh, for sure. And also, like the car just continues to cost you money. Like the pen and paper, it's just all reward. Like it's
Oh,
what
and
you
now it
put
makes me
into it.
money.
Yeah, exactly. Now it makes you money.
Yeah, pretty good investment,
Yeah,
if I
dude.
say so.
So, moving from making that decision of, hey, I obviously, was it just a decision? Were you just like, no, I'm going to be a tattooist? Surely there's got to be times through that period where you're like, fuck me, am I doing the right thing? Like, how is this going to turn out? Like, am I actually going to be good enough to be able to make money off this? Like, that's going to be a pretty
Oh
big thing
yeah,
that weighs on your conscience.
yeah. So much yeah, doubt. Yeah, many steps along the way. But that's a thing that your ego and yourself wants to question. Uh, and then having like psychedelic experiences, um, coming back to Australia and just feeling very like life affirming, and just basically saying like this is what I should be doing and pursuing, and I am on the right path, and just cleared out all that junk that was the self-doubt and questioning if this is the right thing to be doing.
That's awesome.
But
So,
sure, like it doesn't work for everyone. Like there's many people have dreams of being tattooists, but I think there's a lot of factors involved in getting there, and it's definitely not for everyone.
yeah, because like for sure, like there's a lot of people that have dreams, and there's not many people that follow them, and follow them to the point that you're at now, where like you're fucking doing really well for yourself, and it looks like you've probably got an entire life ahead of you in this industry, and being kind of like at the top of that, potentially at the top of that, that kind of industry, and continuing to improve, and that kind of stuff. Like there, it's funny, right? Because I always wonder about this stuff of like, is it that there's something different about you, whatever, like genetically, um, or is it that you just like have along the way received like different messaging from, like, whether it's your parents growing up, or whether it's you know like, yeah, like your meditation practice and psychedelics and stuff like that, that kind of just reinforce the lesson of like, hey, no, like you can continue on this path, and you can actually do something really good with it.
Yeah, well, I guess a lot of it is just um, like lucky that I live in Australia, and that I have so many opportunities, and having parents that were never forceful into shaping me into what they wanted me to be. And when I told my mum I was moving to Brisbane to be in a metal band, she wasn't stoked about it, but she didn't say no, you can't do that. Like
Yeah,
she supported my ambition.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and
Yeah.
that I feel like is just such a huge thing, man. Like
Yeah,
the
because I feel like probably a lot of parents would probably be like, "Oh, no, you should like
yeah,
go study or like
yeah.
get a trade or something." Like, what do you mean you just like moving to another city to play some weird abstract music?
Yo, for sure, man. And like there's so many people. There's a uh Joe Rogan quote, not to quote old Uncle Joe too much, but um but there's a him talking about becoming a comedian, and being told by, like, whatever, somebody around him that, like, come on, man, like, you're gonna be a famous comedian, really? Like, do you know how many people are famous comedians? Like, it's like a tiny handful of people that actually make it in that industry. And his mindset
Yeah.
was, yeah, but like, there are people that make it. Like, why can't I be one of those people? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is the difference between me and that guy? Like, whatever you just said, I don't care about, because like it confirms what I believe, which is that there are people that are successful with it. So why couldn't that be me?
Yeah. And there's many people who are self doubting, and or let other people doubt them.
Yeah.
And push them out from like what they're really wanting to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. Like the doubt thing, I feel like is a really big thing for a lot of people where like obviously it's healthy to have doubts. And like doubts is kind of what keeps you in check, where you're like, hey, I've got these things that I'm concerned about. But there's a difference between being concerned about something and that being something that then turns you off and makes you go like, oh, I'm never gonna fucking succeed. I might as well just give up now. As opposed to a lot of other people and people that are successful, like very successful. Most of the time when I talk to them, they're like, oh yeah, no, like I have fucking a lot of doubts all the time about everything I do. And you know what that makes me do? Work harder. And like make me make sure that each one of those fucking doubts is addressed and that I'm 100% covering all of those things that I was having doubts about,
Yeah. It's good to be mindful of it. It's just not, just you can't let it run your life, but it's definitely good to be, mindful of that because, sure. Like if I was pursuing the band stuff but didn't have enough money to buy food, then I'd probably be doubting my decisions. But like the path that I chose, I could still made enough money to get by and continue on the path.
That's awesome. So then you've decided that you're gonna be a tattooist and you're in Australia again. And how does that process go from that point of you first being like, yeah, no, I'm gonna fucking do this? Do you buy a tattoo gun first? Like, what do you do?
Well, I wanted to find a mentor or someone willing to take me on and give me the opportunity. So it was just I was lucky again that my ex-partner Natalie, her sister, had also just gotten into tattooing and said I could drop by the studio and have a chat to the boss and see if it was something the boss would be interested in doing. And she looked at my work and was happy enough for me to start. And then but it wasn't what I expected from a tattoo apprenticeship. Like when you tell someone I got an apprenticeship, it's like, oh, so what are you being taught, and like when are you qualified? And a tattoo apprenticeship is not an official thing. It's really just subjective to whatever your boss thinks you should be doing. Like you could be cleaning the floor for the first 2 years and working admin stuff, which is good to understand how a tattoo studio runs. But I guess my first boss, she was more concerned with making money. And
what, a boss concerned with making money?
But not so much in, I guess, teaching. So I guess it was just straight into the deep end. And luckily Elena, like Natalie's sister, helped me with using her machine and practicing on some fruit. And then I guess like the next logical step was to tattoo myself.
What was your first tattoo that you gave yourself? Which one was it?
Oh, just one on my thigh. Just a dot piece. Probably can't see in the video. But,
was that the peyote?
No, that was my first tattoo.
Oh, okay.
But my first tattoo I did on myself was on the opposite side.
Okay, yeah.
And it worked. It seemed to work. And then I think because I had spent years drawing and networking as an artist and already had an established social media following, once I posted that on the internet, it was game on. People like, awesome. Oh, he can tattoo.
He can tattoo.
So
wait, you can tattoo too? I thought he was a musician. No, you can tattoo. Oh, sweet. Let's go get tattoos off that guy. Yeah, it's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then
I think
it was just friends. Yeah.
I think your first tattoo but you did, correct me if I'm wrong, was on old Biggie Nick's.
No, I think that was the third or the fourth.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
There
The
you go.
first was on my friend Chris on his back, and it was his first tattoo as well. So it was my first tattoo on someone else, and then his first tattoo.
So what's
But
that
that went
experience?
surprisingly well.
What's that experience like? Like that must be from an outsider's perspective, particularly somebody who like I'm a clean skin. Like I don't have any tattoos.
Yeah.
The idea of even getting a tattoo for me is like a pretty big deal. In terms of I would really want to be very sure that I had the perfect tattoo and that it was going to be done by the perfect person to do that tattoo. And here you are putting needle to skin on somebody that is trusting you to fulfill their expectations. Like that, I feel like that's a pretty big experience.
Oh, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You know? And like a lot of it I put on myself, but I think that's what, yeah, I guess there's healthy amounts of pressure you can put on yourself, and then it also can be unhealthy as well. But yeah, I guess the ability that someone, yeah, is trusting you, and like especially someone who's inexperienced. It's like I did this once before, and it seemed to work. So, I guess certain people, yeah, people see tattoos a lot differently. Like I guess for you, and I guess for myself as well. Yeah, getting a tattoo and your first tattoo is like, oh, I really wanted to be, yeah, thought out and they're special, and yeah. But then some people just get tattoos for fun. They
Yeah.
just
Oh, for sure they do.
like wake up one day and go, oh, want to get a tattoo, and then you go
that
in and
idea just blows my mind, man. It blows my mind that you're like, yeah, you know what I want to do today? Get my skin permanently marked with something that I don't really, or I haven't even got an idea. I'm just gonna go get whatever. I'm just gonna get a tattoo. Like the concept of getting a tattoo is like fucking mind blowing to me, man. But again, everybody's different, and I totally understand, like, you know, that impulse or whatever. Maybe it's to mark a special occasion or whatever. But yeah, it's a pretty hectic thing.
yeah, especially back in the day, like where you didn't really have a choice as to what the tattoo was. It was just go into a studio and look at what tattoos are available for purchase.
Yeah, I suppose Instagram's like totally changed that now, right? It's like you've got this infinite choice now of like pieces that you want and that you can take to somebody and be like, I want something in this style. Or you can even more than that, like follow certain artists and be like, well, I want something by you in particular, you know, because it's going to be more,
Yeah,
like, the most meaningful thing to me.
yeah, it's just insane, like how, like, yeah, social media, Instagram, especially, has just completely changed how people look at tattoos, and just the huge amounts of inspiration for, I guess, ideas that you specifically want, or just artists where you see a style that you really like and resonate with, and maybe even, yeah, the person doing it as well. And yeah, it's changed a lot. Yeah, since and I got Instagram, yeah, when I started, yeah, doing the dot stuff. So yeah, almost 9 years ago.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, it's still a powerful tool now, where it's like
So,
90% of my
so
work comes
I was
from
about
there.
to say, so is it that is where like most of your work comes from? Is like just
But I
people
think it,
DM you and then like getting contact for a tattoo?
yeah, but also I think now, like, there's definitely a lot through Instagram, but now, um, I guess word of mouth, where um, I guess it'll be like I've tattooed a person, and then they've told their
Yeah,
friend, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
their friends contact me on Instagram.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's just snowballed. Yeah, I
That's
guess
awesome.
just over the years, to a point now where I can't even, yeah, keep up with the amount of people who want to, yeah, get tattooed.
That's such a beautiful thing. to me that you like, you know, chase after this dream. So I suppose something that would like make like maybe put it into more context for people would be like, can we go over like some of like talk about some of the struggles that you've had to kind of like get to the position you're in now? Because it, you know, like talking about it like this almost makes it seem like, oh yeah, and then I just did my first tattoo, and now, you know, I'm booked out for months in advance, and I've got so much work that. But there's definitely been times where you've looked at your decision and gone, "Fuck, what am I doing?" You know, I feel like that's an important thing to talk about for people as well.
Yeah, well, that's been a few struggles, and like 6 months into tattooing, ending a 5-year relationship, and because I had been pursuing this music and art, and who needs stuff when I just didn't really own many things, and I was living with my girlfriend and her mom, and they had a house full of stuff, um, and then that all fell away, and I literally had nothing, and then it's like I can't continue to be a tattoo apprentice and make $200 or $300 a week if I don't own a car or a bed. So I had to make the decision to stop tattooing, and luckily I had a really good friend who offered me somewhere to stay and gave me some work.
That sounds like a really good friend, man.
Yeah, his name's Cam. And
that's this guy. For anybody listening, that's me right here. I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about this to be like self-serving. Like it is. It's just it's a very real thing. You know, like people stumble. You know, like particularly people that are trying to pursue a path of having meaning and creating meaning in their life. It's almost like it's a constant stumble. You know, and you're just trying to figure out that next step forward. And your legs sometimes feel like they're on a treadmill and it's not fucking going anywhere, you know. And I feel like it's such an important thing to like reinforce that even though you might have those stumbles and you might have those setbacks, to be able to continue and to be able to push forward with that thing in mind. And maybe you do have to fucking go and do rendering with your mate for a while, and maybe you do have to go and, you know, live at your friend's house or sleep on couches or whatever the thing happens to be. But as long as you know, have that thing in mind and you have a plan to get there, you know, you can get to a place where, you know, you actually have like massive success. You know, and that I feel like is the difference a lot of the time between like success and failure is it is actually just going, you know what? Yeah, this sucks right now, but I can see the path forward.
Yeah, it's like how much do you want it? And it was just a logical decision I had to make to get back on my feet, and I knew that it wasn't, even though at the time there was a lot of despair and it didn't feel like there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Like I think deep down knew that it was only a temporary thing, and I'd be able to work through it, and made some money and bought some possessions to keep me afloat. And
you have to tell the audience about your sleeping situation, because I feel like that's a pretty good anecdote of just where were you sleeping after you moved out from my place.
So you
had a house.
My friend James gave me a room, and so I had a room, which is pretty good, like having a roof over my head and a carpet on the floor, and I had some clothes, And then yeah, I had a yoga mat, and yeah, I actually found sleeping on a yoga mat for about 6 months um, actually really helped my quality of sleep. And I never knew, having such a comfy bed, how you could fall asleep in such awkward positions. Not good for your body. Um,
Do you
so that actually, yeah,
appreciate having a bed now though?
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And having a body as well, like having a body that works
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah, for sure.
when you get given all the pleasures, yeah, sometimes it's easy to forget.
Oh yeah, to
Forget that
appreciate,
stuff.
like to not appreciate, like, you know, the fact that you can go and lie down on a mattress. Like, yeah, I'm sure, man.
Yeah, I think that was also a choice as well, because I definitely could have I definitely could have afforded a bed a lot earlier than 6 months. Um, but it just turned into this like practice of yeah, discipline. And that's when the meditation really kicked in that time, because it was a hard time. There was a lot of emotions, and there was a lot of pain, and I felt I needed to yeah try and alleviate that. And yeah, turning meditation into a daily practice was a huge help.
So in terms of like meditation becoming a daily practice, what are we talking? What was your daily practice? Like, how did it start, and like where did you kind of get to with it?
I think it just started at like 10 minutes uh, each day, like
So you
in the
started like a
morning.
day, like a daily practice, just doing some meditation every day kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I guess I'd read a lot about it, and I've talked to a few friends, and um, yeah, I think the thing of meditation is that it's not so much um, just doing it, but like doing it consistently. Where I feel like it really felt like it started working, because even now, after doing it, yeah, quite consistently for the past 4 years,
Yeah.
there's still days where it doesn't feel like it's doing anything, but then every now and then you just have these moments of clarity, and you realize that it is very important, and helps.
I mean,
Um,
it's so interesting to me because, like, as somebody that has done like a fair bit of meditation, but like when I say a fair bit, I mean like a fair bit of trying to meditate. A fair bit of being somebody that's very easily distracted, and has listened to a lot of people talk about meditation, and that. But I feel like, yeah, like the daily practice thing is like such a big uh like move forward from like not it just being something that you have to do, but it's something that's like part of your routine or whatever.
yeah, where it's just not even something you really like think about anymore. It's like the same as brushing your teeth. You do it every day. You don't like really think too hard about doing it. You just do it, and it's pretty much an autopilot. Like, um, and yeah, so just waking up and basically going straight into meditation each morning just feels like brushing my teeth and just brushing my mind.
Do you use Colgate on your mind, or like what technique are you doing?
No, no fluoride and the
Oh, no
fucking.
fluoride. Gonna use that. That's awesome. So what would you like? What did you like? Is it just like mindfulness meditation? Like, how do you can you walk us through it? Actually, you know what would be cool? Can we do? Can you do a guided meditation for us?
I could just do like a really like brief one.
Yeah. Even if it's just like a 1 minute, or like, you know, whatever, a couple minutes. Like, do you think that'd be okay? Like, is that okay for you to do? Can you do like
Yeah, I
a
don't know if
guided meditation?
I've done it properly before, but I'm sure we could
Can
give
we
it
give
a
it a go?
go.
Look, I did. I can edit it out, so whatever. Okay.
Oh, firstly, yeah. Well, like
Hold on, I'm gonna
if
get
everyone's going to
comfy.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath and just take a few like nice, deep, long breaths. And you can kind of fall into like paying attention to that. And I think once you have the first few deep breaths, you can kind of just relax into your natural kind of breathing pattern to the point where you're not really forcing anything. You're just watching and observing about. Yeah, you can look at your chest and just seeing how that's like gently rising and falling, or maybe your stomach, how that's kind of moving in and out. Even like the sensation of the air that's kind of coming up into your nostrils, like brushing past all your nose hairs, and then it coming out again. It might be a little bit warmer than when it goes in, because usually, when you breathe in, it's nice and cool and crisp, and comes out a little bit warmer. And I think it's just paying attention to those very small and subtle things that most of the time you're not really paying attention to at all. Even just being aware of your surroundings and sounds that are happening, and not trying to make sense of it or label it, just observing it as it comes and goes. And you might have some thoughts, they'll arise and they'll usually pass as well. And I think we kind of get stuck in like rabbit holes of thought, where one thought leads to another thought, and I guess that's when you're lost in thought. And then I think there's a moment that happens, which is probably the most like powerful moment, is becoming aware that you're lost in thought. So identifying that you were not here, you were lost in a tangent of thought, and then your attention comes back to the breathing. And that's, almost like a mini awakening, just becoming aware of that.
That's beautiful, man. I feel like I feel like that's a similar kind of meditation like instruction that I've got from most of the. So would you call that mindfulness?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think like there's so many resources now for people who are interested in it, because things like different things work for different people. Like there's I've heard another common one is like a body scan, where you kind of just start like bring your awareness right to the top of your body, and then you kind of just go through from top like down to your eyes and to your mouth and your throat, and how just like kind of tuning into those parts of your body and how you're feeling about those parts.
I like the sensation.
Focusing on just your bodily sensations. And
I think one of the things that I've always kind of like gotten caught up with, and it was like kind of like a bit of a like weirdly like a breakthrough moment for me, was when I would get distracted by like noises and like sounds, like outside of like, I'm like, oh no, I need to meditate. Like, it needs to be perfectly like zen. I'm like, guys, stop it. Can the world just shut up? Like, I'm just trying, guys. Like, look, stop, police siren, stop, dog, stop barking, baby crying, stop it. Like, I'm just trying to meditate. God, why won't they listen? You know?
Yeah,
But it's
but
like
those things turn into like objects of meditation.
Yeah.
And that's where real mindfulness comes from. It's like I find the ultimate mindfulness, I guess, mindfulness opportunity is like finding a car park in a Westfield shopping center.
Yeah.
Moments of like, real stress, or like, the one of the houses that I started meditating in, the next door neighbor had a dog that barked incessantly. I had no control over that dog, but I did have control over how I reacted to it. And there were so many sensations of frustration and anger towards that dog.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so one of my things, I used to have like fairly bad, I don't know, like rage or whatever. Like used to get like really worked up, man. Like used to really work myself up over like traffic. And this is just an outlet, really. Like I was probably just walking around with a certain amount of nervous energy. And it came out through fucking interactions in fucking traffic, you know? And I feel like unfortunately, like kind of society almost reinforces that. Like you see, you know, like media, whether it's movies or whatever, or it's like there's like this internal monologue, and the guy's like, "I'm driving through traffic right now. Oh, I can't believe this guy cut me off. Hey, fuck you," kind of thing. You know, it's like the internal monologue is you. And I had this really fucking intense. I had this experience of that kind of like woke me up to this, which was, and I knew I shouldn't fucking do it. I shouldn't just lose my shit at random people that want to merge and just aren't very good at driving. You know what I mean? Like it's not a healthy thing for me to just carry that around, like that anger and that rage about how dare they, you know? But yeah, I like to the point with the rage stuff, like of I was in a car with one of my friends, and we came up over the top of a hill, and there was a cab horizontally across the road, and like we almost had an accident with this cab. And for whatever reason, I just saw red, and this was probably like at the like it definitely was like the peak of my fucking like rage thing, where I basically blacked out. Like I was there. There was some me there, but like barely. Just acting purely on like impulse and purely on like the movie that's running in the back of my mind of like, how dare he? Fucking how dare he? I'm gonna fucking sort this out right now. Nah. And went over, like got out of the car, and went over and opened the door to this cab and just blasted this guy. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're on a blind spot on a hill, and you're like reversing out across 2 lanes of traffic. Like we were just doing 60 k's an hour. We almost fucking died. Like, you know, we almost crashed into you. Like, fucking what the fuck do you think you're doing? And then I looked over, and in the back of the cab, there was these two, like a young girl and a young guy in the back of the cab. And I could see on their face that they were genuinely scared, like genuinely scared. At that point, I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. I just came back to reality. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, this is insanity. Like, I just was driven here by like some fucking random impulse. And so I finished off my fucking tirade by basically just being like, and next time, learn how to drive, and slammed his door and then walked back to the car. And still to this day, my friends make fun of me that next time, learn how to drive. So what the fuck, you idiot? But that was definitely a big turning point for me of just being like, oh, fuck, man, I really need to get that shit under control. And so now,
well, you had a mindful moment. Like, yes, you became aware of your behavior and how it was affecting other people, and how you obviously did not want to continue replicating that.
Well, dude, everybody was terrified. And like I was the one that was bringing terror, you know what I mean, into their fucking lives. Like that's not a healthy thing to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably could have the shit beaten out of me. Like I'm not a big dude. Like so, it either would have ended in like me getting hurt or somebody else getting hurt. Like I don't want either of those things to happen. But also, like I don't want to walk around the world just carrying anger and putting out, um, like putting out fucking negativity into the universe. Just like, and now I laugh, man. Now I laugh when I see that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody is yelling out the side of their car, they're like, fucking yeah. I'm just like, oh man, that sucks. That guy's having a terrible day. So give him a wave, give him a smile. Like, have a good day, buddy.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
just on this trip. Yeah, a trip of just uncontrolled knee-jerk reactions. Just completely just asleep, like not awake at all. Just to being pushed around by their emotions just constantly.
Yeah,
And
being like controlled, like fully not in control of themselves. Like they are just being 100% like controlled by the like instant thing that they're fucking feeling. It's like, yep, that's who I am. That feeling is what I am right now. Like that momentary rage when someone cuts you off, you could just let that go and be like, oh, that's a feeling that I'm having. Or you could be like, no, that's who I am. Fuck you. You know?
yeah, yeah, it's pretty pretty crazy that like I used to get pretty fucking angry at people on the road as well. But then I
Yeah.
think I had so many mindful moments and trying to understand like that, like if I'm driving through Brisbane and I've passed 1,000 cars and like one car has cut me off, that like that's a 1 in 1,000 event. And why should I get so
Yeah.
angry and worked up about how this person who could be like um, someone who's just moved to Australia and just gotten their license, could be someone who's like 85 years old and their
Yeah. Or
vision
somebody
is
that's
like,
like just lost their job or who's they're rushing their wife to the fucking hospital. Or you have no idea. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
they could.
Or it was me and I was driving in a new area and I wasn't paying attention and I cut someone off. Like
that
that's been me.
that's exactly what it is that it is actually you in that other car. It's just that you're
Yeah.
looking at it from a different angle, being like, fucking how dare I do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think the meditation has helped with like those, knee jerk reactions, and it just creates space for between you and your emotions. So when things are arising, you're not just acting on impulse. Like you're giving yourself a moment to choose whether or not you want to identify with that.
Yeah, that's really well put. Can you say that again?
So not resulting to knee jerk reactions and giving yourself space between the emotion and choosing or not whether or not you want to act through that emotion.
Yeah, that's beautiful. No, I mean, and that's exactly what it is, man. Because you're not like the player in the movie. Like there's a you in there somewhere. It's not just things happening to you. Like there is a choice
Yeah.
that you can make in that moment. Yeah, dude. So
Yeah.
so I wanted to talk to you as well with the meditation, like while we're on this, is um you said, and I suppose you have to start this with the story of how you ended up uh in the jail for 2 weeks in the gulag.
Oh, so I visited some friends in New South Wales. I don't watch too much news, so at the time, New South Wales was a hotspot according to Queensland.
Even though there's
I
like probably
visited. I
zero
visited
zero
months.
cases.
yeah, I knew Sydney. Yeah, Sydney was having a hard time. This was last year, so um, the borders were open at one point, and you could get a border pass. But then, yeah, Sydney had some stuff, and they thought that the whole of New South Wales was going to be a problem. So here I am driving straight into a hotspot, and then on trying to re-enter the Queensland, realizing that I can't drive, I must fly, and
But you thought you had all your paperwork filled out though, right? Yeah, and you did actually have it all filled out.
yeah, but I hadn't watched the news. I didn't know that the whole state of New South Wales was a hotspot. So when I filled out my form, I declared that I had not been in a hotspot, which I had been. So I lied on my declaration. I could have been fined thousands of dollars, but instead I was turned around and sent to the airport, where I flew to Queensland and did a 2-week hotel quarantine.
You can just call it what it is. It's a gulag. It's a prison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a fancy one.
Solitary isolation. So let's get it straight. It was solitary isolation, 2 weeks. And did you get time out every day? How often were you allowed to be in nature, like to walk around? And this is one of the things, right? It's like one of the things in prisons that they do is to put people into solitary isolation. So even for the worst criminals in the entire world, their punishment after we've locked them up for their lives is to be put into solitary isolation. And so that's pretty much what it was like, right?
Yeah, it was fancy. It had a nice view, but no fresh air. Like I didn't have a balcony or a window I could open. Fresh air breaks, I think. If you called up, they would probably come and get you between an hour and 8 hours, depending on how many police were working at the time.
So sorry, let's just clarify. They would come and get you within an hour or to 8 hours. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, yeah. So sometimes they'd call up in the morning and maybe like that evening. So for people who, smoked cigarettes, they would, and addicted to nicotine, they'd have to wait that long between their cigarettes.
Yeah.
And there was so much frustration that I basically just gave up on that, because even going to the fresh air space, it was just like everyone was fucking manic, and some people were like pacing around erratically just to get their exercise in. And, everyone's wearing masks, so you're not even really getting fresh air. So I don't know, just gave up on that, and a friend sent me through some dialogues from, I guess, meditating through Vipassana, which is like a meditation technique that people partake in, and did my own little mini meditation retreat to try and find a positive out of many negatives at the time.
Yeah. What else are you going to do? You're going to wallow in your suffering? No.
Well, there's only so many times you can repeat to yourself in your head, this is fucked. This is fucked. Fuck this. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Hate this. And it's like, how many times do you want to repeat that to yourself until you just start to surrender to the fact that this is reality for now?
Yeah.
And my
choose to make the best
to
of
it. Yeah. So there was 3 to 4 hours a day meditation, usually just in the mornings, just to get me through. Probably the hardest time of the day is the morning, but then once it got to the hour, just crack a Pepsi and watch some Highway Patrol.
You rebel, you cracking Pepsi.
Not a fun time. But that was like, I guess, from sitting for so long, and definitely got some good insights about myself, and yeah, had some time to reflect. And at the time I was like living in the city and working in the city, and that was like probably a turning point where I decided that that was no longer serving me, and I wanted to move somewhere a bit more peaceful and relaxing, and that started the putting that in motion. So
Oh, that's cool. So one of the experiences you told me about that you had there, and I don't know if like if it maybe at the time it was a big thing, maybe you haven't really thought about it since then, but was having like a really intense meditation experience where you kind of had like a almost a out of body kind of experience.
yeah, well, I think probably just from like sitting so still for so long, and I think at one point, like I guess you're sitting there, like pointing your awareness on your physical body, but then I felt like there was a shift in my awareness, and I couldn't really perceive, like mainly my head, like I could not, like it just didn't feel like it was there anymore. It just felt like very very spacious, and just kind of pushed my awareness into this broad space where even my physical body wasn't really there. So it's really a hard thing to describe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Well,
remember
like,
finishing that and then feeling I guess that experience just was very I just had like feelings of bliss and euphoria, and maybe just because it just felt like I just like got a new high score on this fucking video game, and I was like, wow, I've never had that happen to me before. And
yeah.
and I think those little things are just more and more uh encouragement to continue practicing when you have those little like breakthrough moments.
Yeah. And is that something you've found that you've had like all through your meditation journey of like just like incremental kind of like, and is it just a realization of like, hey, what I'm going through right now, and like learning a lesson from that? Or is it potentially like a, you know, because obviously like there's a whole thing around like the Buddha and like Nirvana and like coming to some kind of like greater truth almost. There's almost some kind of like psychedelic realization or like psychedelic kind of like experience that I think a lot of people associate with like people like really intense like meditation practice.
Yeah, I guess people talk about like liberation and nirvana, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. Uh, but I think just even not to get so not even getting that far, but just I know life is constantly changing, and we're always facing new obstacles and new challenges. Sometimes it's hard to make decisions, and I find like in a meditative space, it clears up a lot of your mental space to make decisions. So a lot of my I've made a lot of really important decisions whilst meditating, and it's also helped me with like the reaffirming of what I'm doing, and it almost just turns into like little mini psychedelic experiences where you kind of turn down the chatter and think clearly, and make better decisions for your life, and navigate easier through it.
Awesome, man. Well, look, that I feel like is the best possible place to end off the conversation. Because
thanks so much for having me and chatting about this stuff, and hopefully some people out there. I think the biggest misconception of like meditation is that I can't stop thinking.
Yeah.
And I guess the goal isn't to try and stop, but it's just to be more aware of what is happening and mindful of those things that are arising and passing, like everything.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's beautiful, man. Jake is a fucking amazing artist. And if you guys want to follow him, he's at, what is it, Jakey? On Instagram. Give yourself a shout out, buddy.
Jake Abstraction on Instagram, and the same on Facebook, Jake Abstraction. I'm sure you could just add some links in the
Yeah,
in
for
the
sure.
in the notes. And I'm not taking any like tattoo bookings or any commission work at the moment, but yeah, you can always appreciate it. And yeah, maybe in the future, if anyone's really keen, we can possibly chat about
Awesome.
designs and stuff. So
Well, I won't take up any more of your very precious time, my brother. And as always, I love you very, very much. And thank you so much for giving me some of that precious time, dude. So
no, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me, and yeah, much love for you too.
thanks again, and I'll catch you later, bud.